All right, today's lesson is 2.5 in your big book. It's on page 69. Today's kind of fun because we get to use some manipulatives and actually model fractions. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to model fraction division. Our essential question is, how can you use a model to show division of fractions? There are two types of division problems. In one type, you find how many or how much in each group. And the other, you find how many groups. All right, so fraction strips. We have some fraction strips here that we'll be using during the demonstration. A class is working on a community project to clear a path near the lake. When they are working in teams, they are working in teams on sections of the path. 4 students clear a section that is 2/3 of a mile long. If each student clears an equal part, what fraction of a mile will each clear? So we're going to divide that 2/3 of a mile by the 4 groups. So this is the mile. These are the groups of kids. How much will each of these groups clear? So we use the one strip to remind you of what one whole is while we're working with our fractions. And then we're going to use 2 1/3 strips because this is 1/3, this is 2/3, and that represents 2/3 of this whole mile-long path. They're only going to be clearing 2/3 of it, just this much of the path. Now there's 4 groups of kids who are working on this, and what are we trying to find? Well, we're trying to find how much in each group, if 2/3 is shared among those 4 groups, how much each group is going to be clearing. So if we use our little tiles here, we can figure out that if I want to divide this 2/3 by 4 equal parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so 2/3 divided by 4 is 1/6. So each group of those students is going to clear 1/6 of this mile-long path. Just one little section. All right. So what do we write in our books? Okay, here we go. So we're going to split this. So that it looks like the model that we did. So each group is going to be clearing 1/6 of the path. So what are we trying to find? How much each group is in each group if 2/3 is shared, among 4 groups. Well, what did we discover? It was 1/6. The answer is 1/6. So each student will clear 1/6 of a mile. All right. Another team clears a section of the path that is 3/4 of a mile long. All right, so we need to set up a different model now. So we still have our one strip. And now we're going to look for 1/4. So this is 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. All right, so that's 3/4. Says use fraction strips to model the division and then draw your model. Let's see. Another team clears a section of the path that is 3/4 of a mile long. If each student clears 1/8 of a mile, how many students are on the team? Okay, so we're doing this in reverse order now. We're finding out how many students this time instead of how long the section is. All right, so how many students are on the team? And so we need 1/8 tiles. That's what it tells us right here, 1/8. So looking through our tiles, 1/8 is brown. Let's turn this here. All right, 1/8. So that means each student is going to be clearing 1/8 of this 3/4 mile long project that they have. How many students is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in this case, we have 6 students. Okay, so let's go back to our paper. So this was 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. Okay, so what are we trying to find? How many groups, whoops, how many groups of 1/8, that's a 1, 1/8 are in 3/4? Well, we decided it was 6. There were 6 of those 1/8 tiles. So there are 6 students on the team. All right, let's take a look at the next page. Okay, so draw conclusions. Explain how the model in problem A shows a related multiplication fact. So basically what they're saying is, can you reverse that and reverse the division with multiplication and come up with the same numbers? So the model shows that 4 groups, okay, remember in the first one we had 4 groups, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That 4 groups of 1/6 equals 2/3. 1, 2, 3, 4 of 1/6 equals 1, 2, 2/3. Or 4 times 1/6 equals 2/3. All right, suppose a whole number is divided by a fraction between 0 and 1. Is the quotient greater than or less than the dividend? Explain and give an example. All right. Okay, so the quotient would be greater than 1. We'll come back to this later. All right. All right, make connections. You can draw a model to help you solve a fraction division problem. Jessica is making a recipe that calls for 3/4 cup of flour. Suppose she only has half a cup size of measuring scoop. So she's digging through her kitchen drawers. All she can find is a scoop. That's half a cup. How many half-cup scoops of flour does she need? All right. So we have 3/4 divided by, because we're trying to figure out how many, 1/2. How many scoops of 1/2? All right, so we're going to divide our whole into fourths, just like we did before. We have one whole, and this is 3/4, just like in our problem now, 3/4. And we're going to use halves. Where's my half tiles? Here we go. There's one. And there's another one. Okay, so she's got these scoops. Let's scoop out a half a cup every time she scoops. All right, so in order for us to draw the model, we'll go like this. So this whole thing is like that red one right there. This whole bar. We're going to make this 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, just like this. 1, 2, 3. And then this one doesn't get used. All right, and then if we copy our model that we made with the tiles, this one is 1/2. And 1/2. Okay. So she needs 3/4 of a cup. We know that from the problem. That's why we're dividing by fourths. All right, so there is one full group here. She can use the scoop once. But then over here, she can only use the scoop how much? Should she use a whole scoop? No, she's going to end up with too much flour. We can't have all of this flour in the recipe or it's going to come out way too dry. So, of this scoop, with her little half cup scoop, she's only going to fill it half full.